Welcome to Penny for Your Shots, Conversations and Cocktails with Brilliant Women, the podcast where we uncork the stories and insights of exceptional female leaders from all walks of life. Our goal is to serve up wisdom, tips, and inspiration, and to support each other in rediscovering ourselves and what sets our souls on fire. We'll also share personal memories, paired with friends and a favorite beverage. I'm your host, Penny Fitzgerald, and I believe that the best stories are served up over a glass of wine or a cocktail. So grab a glass, get comfy, and let's pour ourselves into Penny for Your Shots. Meredith Cronin is a veterinarian who is new to Florida. I met her through my Sassy Sisters networking group, and she took one of my workshops recently. She has a fascinating story, so I asked her to share it with you. She's got a huge heart, and so does her rescue pup named Dobby. I want to warn you a bit, the beginning of Dobby's story is gut-wrenching, but it has a super happy ending. And talking with Meredith about some of the things she has seen has me a little bit verklempt. But knowing there are people like Meredith in this world is the bright side of this episode. If you can, check out especially the beginning of this one on YouTube. Dobby's just a doll, and you'll see how well he's doing. And check out Meredith's website for more information and pics of Dobby. I'll link to her socials and website in my show notes too. Here is Meredith Cronin and Dobby.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
It's playtime for Dobby, huh? He's so sweet.
Good.
So, good morning.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's Dobby's playtime, and I'm cutting into it.
It is always his playtime.
Yep.
I work so that I can keep him in the lifestyle he has become accustomed to. That discussion on a regular basis.
Yes, it's his world, and we're just living in it. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's back up a second because I know Dobby. Well, I don't know him, but I know of him. But my audience maybe not aware. So tell us a little bit about him and you and how you two are connected and such.
Hi, I'm Meredith. I'm originally from New York. I worked in orthopedic surgery at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York for a really long time. At some point decided I wanted to go to veterinary school. I needed more. So I sold my home, left my career, and went to veterinary school. I met Dobby when I was over at Louisiana State University. I was doing my clinical rotations there, and he was an abuse case that came in. So he's a rescue that was found by Last Chance, Arkansas. He was 17 pounds when they brought him into us. Had burns all over his body. He was missing 3 of his paws. And he had such a strong energy, such a strong spirit, loved people, and was just the ultimate fighter.
Wow.
Since then, he has 3 prosthetics. This is him with his prosthetics. I don't know if you could see that.
Oh, so cute. Yep.
So he wears them when he's outside, when he's able to. If not, he has a wagon that I cart him around in. And
he's thriving.
He is.
Clearly.
He is. He's the sweetest boy. He's actually what got me involved in, oh, sorry, let me back up.
Yeah.
I do in-home euthanasia and acupuncture. And
for pets. Just making that clear. Yeah.
He's actually what got me involved in acupuncture.
Really?
He was on so many medications. And I mean, he was on 1,200 milligrams of gabapentin a day. He was taking trazodone. He was taking tramadol, a whole bunch of other things. And I went to Chi Institute up in Reddick by Ocala.
Okay.
They specialize in Chinese medicine. They do acupuncture, herbs, you name it, they do it. And I've been able to start him on herbs and pull him off of his medications. Um, Traditional Chinese veterinary medicine is very much broken down into not what you're presenting so much physically, but your tongue, your pulse, your personality. And Dobby is kind of like I am. He's a very fiery personality. He has two speeds: go, 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 or we're done. And those kind of personalities typically don't do well with needles. So
Oh,
something that can supplement it. And starting them on traditional Chinese herbs is almost like giving them a low dose of acupuncture every day.
wow.
Yeah.
So herbs like dried herbs that you grow, or how do
They're
you source this kind of stuff?
from China. Dr.
Okay. Wow.
And he's brilliant. And I've just seen such an incredible change in Dobby, because when I first met him, it was, okay, he has infections. Is he going to survive his infections? Okay, the only medicine that he can take is something that causes cancer in humans. Will he do well with this medication? And if he does, will it clear his infections? So it was constantly, is he going to eat? Is he going to be aggressive towards people? Is he going to be aggressive towards other dogs? Is he going to get an infection? It was always the what if game. So
Wow.
I wanted a different way of treating him.
Uh-huh.
LSU, I took an integrative medicine course. They gave you a baseline introduction about herbs and acupuncture and all that good stuff. And it just kind of stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and with that, I mean, I love doing that. It's so much fun and you can make such a difference in these pets.
Mm-hmm.
And I also do in-home euthanasia because I just remember what it was like each time I've had to put an animal down.
Mm-hmm.
And Fluffy doesn't like to go to the vet. They associate the vet with
Yeah.
strange smells, loud people,
Mm-hmm.
dogs that are scared. And it's just a very literally cold clinical environment for them. And um, some of the stories that I've heard, as well as some of the animals I've put down, it's very abrupt. Uh,
Mm.
my last dog, it was one injection, that was it. And it was it's traumatizing. It's traumatizing to
Mm-hmm.
the family, it's traumatizing to the animal. And I knew that there had to be a better way. I worked in corporate veterinary medicine for a while, and it's just not for me because I couldn't do the things that I did when I was involved in human medicine. And it was, yes, medicine is a business.
Mm-hmm.
It's helping the patient, it's helping the families. And if I can make it easier for patients and easier for families, I mean, euthanizing an animal is a gut-wrenching decision to have to make.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, am I doing it too early? Am I doing it too late? Am I making them suffer? Can I spend more time with them? And then is everybody in the family on the same page?
Mm. Yeah.
Because if they're not, I mean, I've had plenty of phone calls where I've had to say to people, okay, I just want to reiterate back to you what I'm hearing. You're telling me your cat is 12 years old, which is young for a cat.
Mm-hmm.
It's eating, drinking, urinating, defecating, playing, and was just diagnosed with mild kidney disease. Not
Oh.
moderate, not severe, not renal failure, but mild. Yes. I can't put your cat down. It's not your time. It's not their time. But my
Oh
vet
my gosh.
said at some point, I said, at some point, yes, but not now. It's not their time. And you get the phone calls afterwards when they have time to reflect on that. And I've gotten the
Uh-huh.
phone calls of, thank you so much. Anyone else would have just taken my money and would have euthanized Fluffy.
Oh my gosh.
It's unfortunately, it's true a lot of the times.
It's
Um,
sad.
if you have family members who are conflicted, I had one gentleman who called me, and after hearing everything that was going on, I said, is everybody in the household on the same page? He said, well, my son, and I said, we can't do this now. You're
Hmm.
going to hate you, and I can't have that happen.
Yeah.
Have your son spend some time with your dog.
Hmm.
Have your son keep a calendar. Are they eating the same? Are they drinking the same? Do they have the same activity level? Are they able to walk? Can they relieve themselves outside with some dignity, or are they incontinent? And look at their quality of life. And he said to me, he's like, you're right, and thank you. I can't have my son hate me. And it's a process. And I walked him through my process because it's a little bit different. I don't like needles. I don't know anyone who likes getting shots, injections.
Hmm.
Animals certainly don't like it. So I look at it as though if I can give them an oral medicine in some smelly treats that they like, or
Hmm.
just squirt a little bit of medicine in their cheek pouch, just to
Hmm.
be a little bit more comfortable, a little bit sedated, it's a much nicer experience for them.
Mm.
And
Wow.
I don't believe there's any reason to start an IV or to go in the muscle unless you absolutely have to, because that's painful.
Hmm.
Reason why they can't just have an insulin syringe and just get a tiny little pinch just under the skin. It may take a few minutes more, but it's more humane.
Hmm. Wow.
And it's nicer for the whole family. And if they can't explain it to the kids, I'll explain it to the kids that this is a medication that's just for animals. They don't make it for humans. You can't give it to humans, and people can't get this medicine in any way, shape, or form. And it takes some of the scariness and the, oh my gosh, what's happening, out of
Hmm.
the equation. And
Yeah.
if you say to them, do you think your dog is in pain? Do you think he's suffering? The kids get it.
Yeah.
I leave it up to them and the parents if they want to be in the room, if they want to walk in and out of the room. And I give them a bunch of resources to use because it's so hard to process this.
Oh, yeah.
And there are hotlines you can call. There are websites you can go to, chat rooms you can go to, books that I encourage parents to read first before they introduce it to their children, but it makes it a lot easier.
Mm.
And so much easier for the other animals that are in the house, because when they go to the vet, they just see Fluffy leaving the house and Fluffy
Yeah.
back.
Right.
And yesterday I had a case where I said to them, the dog was very apprehensive with me. It did not like that I was checking on his brother. And we kept him where he could see, but
Uh-huh.
that he couldn't get to me,
Uh-huh.
because he was very overprotective of his.
Oh, yeah.
And afterwards, I said to them, I said, why don't we bring him in? He'll be fine with me now. I'm not touching his brother. He'll be fine. But he needs to see, he needs to understand it. So
Yeah.
just see Fluffy leave the house and not come back.
Uh-huh.
It was the sweetest thing. His brother at this point was all tucked in a blanket. I was
Uh-huh.
with them out. And he just kept checking him out, kept going under the blanket, kept trying to pull the blanket away and see, and just it's a process for animals too.
Wow. Wow. That's such a caring way to handle that.
Yeah.
Wow. I have so many questions.
I
And
mean,
I'm a
it's
little verklempt right now.
it's such
um,
to go through, but there's no
mhm.
reason why you can't make it as easy on everybody as possible
Yeah.
for the other animals, for the dog who's going through this.
Yeah. Wow. Just even introducing a new pet to the family is a process, and it's you can see how they're family. you know, they have to process things too. Wow. Okay, so questions. I'm sorry. I'm like so
All right.
let me go back to way back. You were in human medicine. You were in orthopedic. You were an orthopedic surgeon. Is that
The PA in orthopedic surgery.
okay? Okay.
I would go back and forth from the office to the OR. I was seeing patients in the office, treating them in the office, and my attending, my boss, he was the chair of the department, and then he actually became the president of the hospital. And he's brilliant. I loved working with him.
Uh-huh.
But after X amount of years, after well over a decade, you're like, okay, I need a little bit more.
Okay.
I wasn't married. I don't have kids. And it
Uh-huh.
was just me. So I didn't want to be 10 years down the road and say, what if?
Mm-hmm.
Going to veterinary school when you're 40 is difficult enough. And everybody thought I was crazy. They're like, wait, I'm sorry. You're selling your home to pay for school? You're going back to school? A great career that you love and that's lucrative. And it was, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't want to be 10 years down the road and say, what if? And I wanted
Oh,
more, I wanted to be able to do more.
good for you. I think that is what holds people back from chasing dreams is that fear. And you overcame it and did it. Good for you.
It didn't occur to me. I mean, everyone that I worked with was so supportive. I mean, when I told my boss about it right from the get-go because I'm not one to keep secrets. I don't pull any punches. And when I told him that I finally got into veterinary school, he's like, that's great. Congratulations. The lights start to go. And he said, oh no, oh no, that's really horrible. No, 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 not for you, but that's horrible. And it was Dr. Flato, don't worry about it. I figured out who I thought would be a good fit for you as a replacement. I've been training them. Don't worry about
Oh,
anything.
wow. You had an exit plan.
Yeah. He said to me, he said, how long do I have? And I said, a year. He said, okay, I can work with that.
That's good. Wow, you thought of that. That's that. I'm sure he was very appreciative of that, and just such a big transition to move from New York, and
I,
then you went to LSU.
I did my didactic portion at Ross and St. Kitts.
Oh,
Thank you. And I loved it because I grew up split between New York and the West Indies. So
really?
so it really wasn't that much of a transition for me. The
Oh
big
my God.
was, hey, you're going to school with people 15 years younger than you are.
Yeah.
And it's a whole different way of learning now. Um, Everything's online, everything is
Yeah.
very different. So a lot of adjusting.
Okay, now I have more questions. So St. Kitts, were you in a military family? How were you back
Um,
and forth like that?
my grandparents built a home in Jamaica before I was born, actually. So
Wow.
I was with my mom in New York a lot of the times. I was
Uh-huh.
with friends over there a lot.
Okay. Wow, that's so cool to be island hopping.
It's so different because you see the kids in New York who are, they don't realize everything that they have.
Yeah.
And they don't realize that, no, not everybody wears shoes all the time.
Wow.
You have that there's some places where kids have schools for, you have shoes for school, for church, and the rest of the time you're running around barefoot.
Wow.
And it's a very different way of thinking. And I was fortunate to have experienced that because most kids grow up with their little bubble and don't,
Yep.
is that how fortunate they are.
Yeah. Yep. Or how anybody else moves through the world, how any of that. So when you say New York, you mean the city, New York City.
I lived about 25 minutes outside the city.
Okay.
When I was older, I lived at the beach, so that was about 45 minutes outside the city and
Okay.
in the city.
Okay. Yeah. So it was a lot of, um,
Very different.
yeah, for sure. Wow. Okay. So then LSU and veterinary school. And then I want to talk a little bit too about how you found Chinese medicine or more ancient um, medicine and remedies and such. So how did you kind of discover that? Was that all through Dobby?
So part of that was because of Dobby, and
Mm-hmm.
part of that was something I had always been interested in. But
Mm-hmm.
at Louisiana State, they have an integrative medicine course, and it exposes you to everything.
Wow.
So there are some things I went into and I was like, that's a
Yeah.
bit pokey. And tried it on myself, and I'm like, hey, wow, this actually works. Okay. I'm seeing the difference in the pets, but is this more from the owner's perspective or does this actually work?
Right.
Just try it on yourself and see if it works.
Wow. So, okay, give me an example of that. What kind of stuff did you do?
Um, Acupuncture, I'm like my dog,
Uh-huh.
not so much. He does amazing with herbs. I do better with herbs.
Uh-huh.
Even something like I actually ran into one of my old professors at a conference not too long ago. And I said to her, I said, the PEMF mats that you were talking about, the pulsatile electromagnetic radio frequency mats, at first I thought it was, yeah, okay. Okay. Let Fluffy sit on the mat and get his all the woo-woo stuff.
If it makes you feel better.
And I was having something done to me, and somebody put me on one of these mats, but for humans, not for dogs, obviously.
Uh-huh.
And when I got up, I said to him, like, wow. She said, what? I said, I've been on and off crutches since I'm 7. I've had 5 ankle surgeries, and this is the first time in my life I don't have any pain.
Wow.
Okay, this works. And then great, let's get a mat for the dog. Let's incorporate the mat into what I'm doing because it makes sense. And if it helps them, absolutely.
Wow. So what is the mat? What does that is it light frequency? Is it a vibration? How does that work?
They have copper coils in them, and it's the science behind it is going to take a lot to
Oh,
break
that's okay. No, that would be right over my head anyway. So
apart.
it's copper. So it's like a copper. I had a friend of the family growing up that wore a copper bracelet and necklace all the time because they had heard that it does something.
That I don't know of, so I can't really,
Well,
but the
that
max
was,
frequencies that this thing puts out,
uh-huh.
I love it. The dog loves it. So it's a mat, and I use it on him every day now. And I sit on the mat with him.
Wow.
Great.
Yeah. Well, everything's energy. So it makes sense once you realize that everything's energy. Yeah, and back then this was 50 years ago. So I'm dating myself here, but this um the only thing that we knew for sure was that it would turn his neck and wrist green.
But these are coils inside of it. So
Yeah, this is more. This is different.
electromagnetic radio frequencies that are working.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can do that, do the acupuncture with it,
Uh-huh.
biggest bang for your buck, or do laser with it. There are some dogs that don't do well with needles. They do better with laser. There's no reason why you can't hit the same acupuncture points that way.
Wow. Yeah. So you've studied acupuncture and these different types of medicines alongside what the traditional stuff. Nice.
It's just a different way of looking at things.
Yeah, absolutely. And who's to say? I mean, we get so caught up in the way it's always been or what we've experienced before. And so we assume that that's the only way or the best way.
This actually takes both of them and it incorporates it. So
That's
it's
great.
on Western medicine because
Mm-hmm.
there's some things you flat out need antibiotics for. There are certain things where you need injections for it. But this is something that can help supplement. It's not something that's going to cure cancer.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll give them a better quality of life.
Wow. That's a really great way to look at it. Yeah, it's not either or.
Exactly.
I love it. Love it.
What works and you go with it.
Yeah. So how did you make your way to Florida?
I'm a New York Jew. It was inevitable that I end up here. All of my family's in Boca where they belong. That's not a good fit for me. I grew up lifeguarding, surfing. I played volleyball, and the Gulf Coast is a better fit. Before I was here, I was in Texas, and that was different. It was a great experience, but it wasn't a good fit for me. It wasn't home. It wasn't where I belonged.
Yeah.
And living in Venice, Sarasota, right around there,
Uh-huh.
it's a much better fit.
That's cool.
It was quite an introduction, though. I mean, we moved down here a couple of days before Melton hit. So
That's right. I forgot that. That's right. You came down in October. Oh.
action. But
Mm. And you stayed. Yay.
well, I lived in Long Beach in New York, and when we went through Sandy, it was the same thing. Everything got
Right.
needed. Everybody pitched in, pulled together as a community. And there are some incredible people that I met when we were helping out in Venice, helping out in Sarasota. Dobby is also a therapy dog. So I was able to bring him with me to a lot of those where the linemen were, where the emergency workers were, where the firemen, the cops, the ambulances, everything. And it just, after that kind of a whirlwind of experience, who doesn't love being around a happy dog? I mean,
That's right.
it's impossible to be angry or upset or sad when that face is literally in your face.
Yeah. Wow. And to see him, what he's been through and how happy he is.
Mhm.
Fantastic. Yeah. Oh, wow.
These people, when they see him in his wagon, they don't notice that he doesn't have paws. They just think he's a spoiled brat, which he is. But they think, oh, spoiled little Fluffy, whose mom is schlepping him along everywhere.
Yeah. Which is not uncommon to see here.
But when we were in Texas, there was a wheelchair basketball team. And one of the guys from the team I met at a street fair, and he said, "What's with your dog?" And I showed him Dobby's card. I showed him his prosthetics. And to me, he's like, "Can you bring him to one of our basketball games? There are a couple of guys on the team that would love it and it would help them." And I figured, Well, he already goes to hospitals, nursing homes, things like that. Absolutely. Like he does better in hospitals with people who are recovering from hip surgery, knee surgery, or amputees because they're like him. So we show up to the wheelchair basketball team game, and I'm putting his legs on me. He starts to fight me a little bit until he realizes, hey, this is something I may be interested in. There are a whole lot of people here.
Uh-huh. New
And,
friends.
and I put his legs on him, and he just takes off running around because he, scarily enough, learned how to run in his legs.
Wow.
And the guys on the team at first were, who the hell brought a dog here? And then they look at his legs and they were, oh my God, you're like us. You're like,
Wow.
and he's looking at their prosthetics and he's looking at their wheelchairs and their wagons and everything. And he keeps bouncing back and forth between them and me. And he's like, these are his people.
Yeah.
Love them.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
It was a good fit.
Oh, wow. I'm getting goosebumps. Just, I can picture it. I can picture it happening.
Yeah. So there's a team, I think in Tampa. I have to reach out to them when things settle down a little bit and find out when their games are and if I can bring him to a game.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
Ah, so helpful for everybody. And I bet Dobby was just in heaven.
Yeah, because he doesn't know that he's different from other dogs. He just gets upset when he sees other dogs playing and he can't play with them. Or
Mm-hmm.
and he gets targeted a lot because he's different, because he's injured. They look at him as easy prey.
Oh, wow.
It's safer to keep him away from a lot of other dogs.
Uh-huh. Wow. I hadn't taken that next thought, that would be a thing, but it makes sense.
Dogs look at him, they check out his legs, even if he doesn't have it on.
Uh-huh.
It's growl at. Sometimes there are a couple of dogs that have actually gone for him since we've moved down here. And I'm like, okay, you're becoming reactive. We need to stop this.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm sure it's just a constant learning curve of everything.
Like kids in school. Kids can be mean. They can
Mm-hmm.
be mean. And any kid that grew up with glasses or braces
Mm-hmm.
or something different
Yep.
got picked on.
Same thing. Wow. Wow. Okay. So what is next for you and Dobby? What have you got on your horizon or what are you looking forward to?
Well, I just opened up my practice down here in about Christmas or so.
Okay. Yeah.
So getting that up off the ground has been a whirlwind of an experience. A lot more than what I expected because there are a ton of books out there and there are a lot of Facebook groups where people are incredibly helpful, like veterinarians who actually help each other, which isn't something I was used to in the corporate world.
Oh, wow.
And coming from human medicine, it's something that I expected because the environment that I was in was very much you work together as a team, you help each other out.
Mm-hmm.
So it was definitely a bit of an adjustment, but going into in-home euthanasia and acupuncture, I've met some of the nicest, most genuine, helpful people and just good, kind people, and they help each other out. And it's amazing to see. Um, but I miss traveling. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So fortunately, my mom's over on the East Coast. She's over in Boca, and
Uh-huh.
she went from disliking all animals. She does not like animals, tolerating Dobby, to now when she comes to visit, he climbs into bed with her and sleeps with her. It's
That's
hilarious.
how it happens.
You can't post that on Google though. They But I'd love to be able to go back to Africa and volunteer and work with the gorillas.
Wow.
I mean, some of the places that I've been to over there are incredible. And not too long ago, I took a trip to Rwanda, Uganda, and Congo. And just seeing them in their natural environment is amazing. And if I can go over there and volunteer and help out in whatever capacity,
Mhm.
yes, absolutely.
Wow.
They say no, and I can just go over there and see them again. Absolutely.
Wow.
It's just, it's amazing.
So how, again, more questions. So you've been to Africa. What were these like Peace Corps kind of trips or like, because you said did you volunteer there before in a veterinarian capacity?
It was one of those, I get 6 weeks vacation a year. I'm going to use it and
Oh,
don't like to stay inside my bubble.
okay.
I found myself taking trips to Ethiopia and to Namibia and Rwanda, Uganda, and Congo. In hindsight, not the smartest trip to take by myself. I
As a beautiful blonde woman.
met some incredible people. And
Yeah.
a little bit of a political revolution broke out when I was in Congo.
Oh, wow.
People who I had met in Rwanda, they had lost their family in the genocide and
Mhm.
hesitate to take me in
Wow.
and just good people. And it's amazing to see the animals in their natural habitat.
Hmm.
And
Wow. So really, veterinarian medicine kind of was a natural extension. If you put all your worlds together, it was a good fit. Oh, okay. It's coming together.
life is short. I
That's right.
don't ever say what if.
Oh my gosh, that is so fantastic. Because a lot of people get to the end of their life and are and X, they do. They wonder, what if I would have tried that? Or, oh my gosh, I missed time with my friends or missed time with traveling and doing the fun things that they would love to do, but just didn't get around to it.
I don't ever want to have those regrets.
Yeah. Good for you.
Life is short,
Man.
most of it.
Yeah. So where else have you been? Where else have you traveled?
Um, oh wow. I've been all over most of South America, quite a chunk of Central America, all over Europe, a good piece of Asia, um, a good chunk of Africa.
Yeah. Where haven't you been that you would love to go?
I would love to go back to Tibet. I would love to go back to Rwanda and Uganda. Um, South Africa, I keep going back there. I've been to South Africa at least a dozen times, and I keep
Wow.
um, I don't handle cold well, and anyone who's traveled with me will completely agree to that. Uh, but I want to go to Antarctica.
Oh,
That would be incredible. I've been to Iceland and Finland, but it was one of those I show up and I have a heated vest, heated socks, and people are looking at me like I'm insane. And I'm like, well, I love you too. I'm crazy. And I'll say to them, I'm like, well, do you want to hear me complaining about the cold or can we go and do stuff? So you figure out what works for you.
yeah.
But
How does you staying warm hurt them?
exactly. And I think it was Finland when I had the hand warmers.
Yeah.
I took a bunch of them. I stuffed them in my pants. I threw them in the bed at night.
Yeah.
And she's like, what are you doing? I'm like,
Staying warm.
not sharing a bed with me. I'm cold. This way I'm not going to complain.
That's right. It sounds like a perfectly smart and, actually brilliant thing to do.
I would love to go to Antarctica. I haven't been to Japan yet. Pretty much anywhere in Africa. I want to go to Togo. I was only there for a quick layover.
Yeah.
The people there are amazing.
Mm,
I'd love to go back.
fantastic.
And the kind of people you meet when you travel,
Uh-huh.
they're like-minded people. And I had met people in South Africa, and next thing I know, I'm taking a trip to India, and they're on the trip with me. Like it was, hey, we can travel the same way. Let's go. When I went to Namibia, it was tent, sleeping bag, a lot of backpacking, and
Wow.
people there who you're like, okay, where are we going to next? Because these are the kind of people you can travel with. And the locals that you meet are amazing. I mean, in Tibet, they don't have anything. They have nothing there. And they're inviting you into their homes and
Mm.
giving you yak butter tea, which is disgusting. It's like eating salt.
Oh
But
my gosh.
that's what these people have, and they're sharing that with you.
Oh,
In Madagascar, um, they don't have four walls and a roof. They may be missing a wall, or you'll have 15 family members sleeping on the dirt floor because that's what they have.
wow.
These good, kind people, and it opens up your eyes.
Mm. Hmm. Yeah, that's just fascinating because, like you said, we're in a bubble. We don't realize what other people,
Have
how
or
they live, how they move through the world. But when you meet them, when you spend some time with people who are different than you, it really, I mean, it makes the world smaller. We're all connected. Oh,
and fortunately, my grandparents exposing me to the West Indies when I was a kid, that that led to all of this.
wow.
Because you see the kids walking around barefoot. And
Hmm.
in Jamaica, we weren't in Negril or Kingston or a tourist spot.
Hmm.
It wasn't Montego Bay. We're out in Portland, and it's a tiny little parish. It's got its nickname for the newlywed or the nearly dead.
Oh,
It, it does. It's a sleepy little country town. And we don't get tourists there. It's all locals. And it's nice.
yeah,
So I was very much an outsider in appearances, but didn't know it. I
that's wow.
Any of the other kids.
Uh-huh.
They treated me exactly the same.
That's amazing. And what a great way to live. I mean, being able to experience other cultures and soak it all in and realize that we're all connected. That's amazing. Yeah, I grew up in such a small town in Iowa, and all we saw was people exactly like us, or almost exactly like us. So it's just,
Comforting about that. There's something warm about that.
it is, yeah, it was a wonderful way to grow up, very warm and safe. But I guess the thing I'm grateful for is that I didn't, I mean, there are a lot of people who stayed and they're wonderful people, but it's easy to get afraid of what you don't know or of who you don't know. And I don't ever want to feel that way. I don't want to feel like, well, don't go into that neighborhood because that's not a safe place to be. Well, what makes it not safe? Because you're different? Because they're
Well,
different?
I used to work on an ambulance in the South Bronx and in Jamaica, Queens.
Oh, wow.
Hated that. She's sitting there and she's like, where did I go wrong? Where did I go wrong? What is my little white Jewish daughter doing in these neighborhoods? And I'm like, this is where I'm going to learn. This is where I'm going to see the most, where I'm going to do the most, where I'm going to be the most exposed to everything.
Yeah. And probably do the most good where people really need help.
Exactly.
Mm.
And
Wow.
that's where you can make a difference. I mean, yeah, you can make a difference in some cushy neighborhood, but if this is where you're going to learn and this is where you're going to be able to help the most.
Yeah. Wow. That's great. Mm. So fascinating. I feel like I could just ask you questions for hours. We'll save some for the next episode.
Sure.
Okay. So in my podcast, I like to ask my guests at the end something completely off topic and fun, which is what's your favorite cocktail or glass of wine? What kind of beverage would you enjoy the most?
I don't drink. Uh, I don't drink coffee. It's not a religious or a health thing or anything.
Uh-huh.
Um, it's it's just not a me thing. Uh,
Okay.
Favorite drink, but you can only have it in very, very small quantities, like probably 2 sips and you're done.
Yeah.
Tab, like the old
Oh, the old style tab.
pink, horrible,
Yes.
loaded with saccharin.
Is
Yes,
that still available?
it's available overseas. I don't know if it's available.
Okay. I remember that from like high school and back in the day we used to enjoy that as well.
Love it. She used to drink it. And yeah, so that's probably something
Okay.
here anymore, but favorite drink, if you want to call it that,
Yeah, okay. Okay. All right.
or Ting from Jamaica. And that's loaded with a ton of sugar and you will be bouncing off the walls. So it's either tab with caffeine, and I don't do well with caffeine, like
Huh?
normally. So me on caffeine or on a lot of sugar is kind of like if you let a 5-year-old eat all of their Halloween,
Mm.
they just
Hmm.
bouncing off the walls and become obnoxious.
Yeah, and then feel miserable a few minutes later.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not worth it. So what's this Jamaican thing? What's it? It's their tea, like their sweetened tea.
Ting, Ting.
Oh,
It's a grapefruit drink.
oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not a sugar person either. If I eat any like real sugar now, I feel miserable a few minutes later too. Yeah.
My mom and my grandparents were the type where it was, you don't have soda, you have milk, you have water. Soda was for birthdays, special occasions.
Yeah. All right. So tell me about a favorite memory, like either with girlfriends or with some of your new friends that you met on your travels. What's a really favorite memory, or what do you like to do when you're talking with friends?
Hmm. My friends from New York, I miss them. I really,
Mm.
they're not friends, they're family.
Hmm.
I loved playing volleyball with them. I miss it because it was it was very much a laid back, beachy town. And the people who you find on the volleyball courts, they're there all day long and they become your family. It's everyone from there. Nobody cares. Nobody cares how old you are.
Hmm.
You're in your 20s, you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. There are probably a few players in their 70s. And it's family. I mean, everybody would bike to each other's houses. And
Wow.
you don't have that here. I'm sure you do have that here. I just haven't found it yet.
Uh-huh.
But it was like when you were a little kid and you knew where your friends were because you'd see a bunch of bicycles in the front yard.
Yeah.
That's how it was. And
Yeah.
old school and homey, if that makes
Yeah. It sure does. Yeah, they're the family that you choose.
exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
They,
Yeah. Have you played pickleball down here?
I have not. I grew up as a tennis player.
Uh-huh.
I I don't quite know what to do with pickleball. I'm definitely
Yeah.
into it, but
Uh-huh. Yeah, my husband and I keep saying we need to learn because everyone around us, not everyone, but almost so many people, a lot of my college friends, that they don't live here, but wherever they are, they're finding pickleball communities. And the way you described your community of volleyball players and neighbors sounds very much like the clusters of pickleball communities that I'm hearing about. So yeah, a lot of our neighbors, they meet up 3 times a week to play pickleball and just chat and have fun. And
let's learn.
Great. Yeah. This grandma's a little slow, so but you got to start somewhere.
Even.
Sounds good.
Kind of a racket to get, or otherwise I'll show up with a tennis racket and people will look at me very strange.
That's all right. I'm sure they'll help. They'll help us out. Oh gosh. Okay. So where would you like people to find you, or like if they want to learn more, or
Sorry. They can just go on my website. They can call me, they can email me, or they can go on my website.
Okay. What's your website? And I'll include it in my show notes too, so people can look there if they don't have a pen and paper handy.
www.meredith, Meredith, D as in doctor, V as in veterinary, M as in medicine.com. Email me, ask@meredithdvm.com.
Okay, cool. Very good. Well, I will include those in the show notes and stuff so people can find you, and they can follow you on Instagram to look at Dobby.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you
for teaching me about Instagram. I'm old school. I joined Facebook because years ago, a friend of mine said to me, she's like, that's it, I'm making an account for you. And I'm like, go ahead. Sure, why not? You have photographs that I'm in. Go ahead, make an account. And that was kind of my take on social media. Your workshops are phenomenal. And that, because now I figured out Instagram. I'm not crazy about it, but I use it.
Well, thank you so much for that. Yeah, it's a great way to stay in touch with your friends from across the world and to get people aware of and people want to see Dobby. Yeah. They want to keep up with his journey.
My Facebook. I should make a separate Facebook account for him. He's all over mine. So
yeah, that works. He's such a doll. This has been such a great time, Meredith. I appreciate your time spending with me and answering all my questions.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And I will see you again very soon. If you need anything, let me know.
Thank you. Back out.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Thanks, Meredith. And give Dobby a squeeze from Auntie Penny. And
yeah.
We'll see you again soon.
Bye.
Okay. Bye. That's a wrap on this episode of Penny for Your Shots. If you loved today's conversation, don't let the inspiration stop here. Get my weekly insider updates straight to your inbox. It's where I spill behind-the-scenes goodies, exclusive tips, and all the fun stuff I don't always share on the podcast. Sign up now at pennyforyourshots.com/insider. I'll see you in your inbox next Thirsty Thursday. Cheers!